Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to absolutely dismantle a centuries-old myth, the idea of human cognitive exceptionalism. For a really long time, we've sat comfortably at the very top of the intellectual food chain. But to truly understand our own minds, we have to trace the evolutionary roots of intelligence across the entire animal kingdom. Nature has engineered so many brilliant ways to think, and honestly, it's fascinating. So let's explore them.
So ask yourself this: what if humans aren't the only masterminds on Earth? Out there, across forests, oceans, and skies, animals are solving incredibly complex problems and communicating with just jaw-dropping precision. Intelligence isn't some single static trait. It's actually a vast, dynamic spectrum of evolutionary adaptations perfectly tuned for survival.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the power of swarm intelligence.
Okay, so imagine a highly sophisticated biological team executing incredibly complex plans, but get this, without a single leader, boss, or CEO. Scientists call this swarm intelligence. Basically, each individual follows super simple biological rules, yet together, they form a superorganism that can solve problems faster than a lot of our advanced computer algorithms. It's wild.
Take ants, for example. We're talking about billions of tiny, seemingly insignificant creatures achieving the impossible just through pure teamwork. They don't just forage, they're master architects. They build these massive, complex underground cities with actual climate control. They organize intricate food storage, defend their territories with literal military precision, and, amazingly, they even farm fungi for food. This collective problem solving is so advanced, it's actually inspiring modern AI and robotics right now.
Now, think about how we navigate. We rely on these massive, complex satellite networks and GPS technology, right? Well, honeybees use something entirely different. When a scout bee finds a great flower patch, it heads back to the hive and performs what's called a waggle dance. Without a single shred of technology, using only math-based movement, it communicates the exact direction, distance, and even the quality of the food source to the rest of the hive. It's a total masterpiece of biological navigation.
Moving right along to Section 2, tool makers and problem solvers.
Just imagine having your brain spread out throughout your entire body. Crazy, right? Well, an astonishing 2/3 of an octopus's neurons aren't in its central brain at all. They're actually distributed throughout its 8 arms. This incredible evolutionary quirk allows each arm to literally think and perform complex tasks almost independently of the others. It's exactly how an octopus can unscrew a sealed glass jar from the inside or execute those masterful viral escapes from aquariums. And then we have ravens. These birds don't just live in the moment, they actually plan for the future using a really sophisticated level of psychological deception. A raven will hide its food, but it'll secretly watch to see if any competitors are spying on it. If it realizes it's been spotted, it'll just wait and later completely relocate that food. This proves the raven actually understands what other animals might be thinking, a concept called theory of mind that scientists once swore was entirely uniquely human.
Oh, and we absolutely have to talk about the sheer, relentless ingenuity of the honey badger. Famous for being totally fearless, they are also mastermind escape artists. When placed in wildlife enclosures, they don't just brute force their way out, they engineer solutions. They stack rocks to create steps, they drag heavy logs over to use as ladders, and they even unlock simple latches. Keep them trapped, and every single failed escape just becomes a brand new lesson for their next inventive plan. There's just no stopping them.
It's literally amazing how these problem-solving traits have sprouted up across completely different evolutionary branches. I mean, you've got the New Caledonian crow manufacturing literal hooks from twigs to solve multi-step puzzles. You have the African gray parrot, like the famous Alex the parrot, which doesn't just mimic sounds but actually understands numbers, shapes, and colors. Rats, which are so often misunderstood, show pure empathy, freeing trapped companions even when there's no food reward. And border collies, they can learn the names of over 1,000 words, figuring out new items via process of elimination, exactly like a human toddler would.
Next up is Section 3, social geniuses and cultural traditions.
Out in the ocean, intelligence takes the shape of incredibly complex cultural traditions. Orcas, for instance, don't just hunt on instinct, they strategize. Some pods actually learn to swim in perfect synchronization to create massive waves that wash seals right off floating ice. Other pods work together to herd fish into tight little bait balls. The key takeaway here is that these are unique, learned family cultures and specialized techniques passed down across generations.
Back on land, an elephant's legendary memory goes way, way beyond just basic survival logistics. Sure, they remember distant water sources during severe droughts to keep the herd alive, but they also recognize family members after decades apart. They physically comfort grieving companions, they actively mourn their dead, and, this is huge, they're one of the rare species that can look into a mirror and actually recognize themselves, which is a true hallmark of self-awareness. And dolphin societies are actually remarkably close to our own when it comes to social complexity. They literally use signature whistles that function exactly like personal names to call out to specific individuals. Like elephants, they self-recognize in mirrors, they actively teach complex hunting techniques to their young, and get this, in some parts of the world, they even team up and cooperate with human fishermen for mutual benefit. Their grasp of social identity is just staggering.
Which brings us to Section 4, the roots of human intelligence. 98%. That is the staggering amount of DNA we actually share with chimpanzees. It completely cements their status not just as animals, but as our closest evolutionary genus relatives. That tiny 2% difference, that is the biological bridge between their world and ours. By observing them, we get this vivid, almost unbelievable mirror into the roots of early human development. I mean, chimpanzees actively craft sharpened spears for hunting. They use heavy stones as functional hammers and strip sticks down to fish termites out of the ground. But it goes way beyond tools. They communicate with dozens of specific gestures in the wild, and they possess the actual cognitive hardware to learn symbols and real sign language in research settings. Meanwhile, orangutans act as the ultimate forest engineers. They don't just survive the rainforest, they completely master it. They craft umbrellas out of giant leaves and engineer brand new, comfortable sleeping nests high up in the canopy every single day. But most remarkably, they're incredible observational learners. They carefully watch humans and successfully copy our behaviors. Some have even mastered the highly complex spatial task of untying knots purely by watching us do it.
And finally, Section 5, many different kinds of minds. As this beautiful quote puts it, nature proves there isn't just one kind of intelligence. There are many. Whether you're an octopus unscrewing a jar from the inside or a tiny honeybee performing a math-based dance to find food, intelligence isn't some single standardized test. It is a wonderfully diverse, brilliantly adapted set of evolutionary tools. So let's end with a question for you to really ponder. Out of all these incredible minds we've explored today, the swarm architects, the tool makers, the social geniuses, which one amazed you the most? Next time you look in the mirror and marvel at human intelligence, just remember that our minds didn't appear out of thin air. We're just one branch on a massive, ancient tree of evolutionary brilliance. Keep exploring the wonders of nature, and we'll see you next time.